There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
Hello there, verifiable boosters. Expulsior or whatever. I'm Frownin' Fran Brie, the spirit of Levram comical books, and I want to tell you to listen to these guys, Mark and Spike or something, and their pod thing, Matt Ike Film Stuff. It's super duper. Oh, wait, that's the other guys. It's amazing and spectacular and Forbushian and so on. Take it from me, the head of the light-hearted Levram Logjam Society. This month, these guys are talking about a 1994 movie about my favorite superhero team, the Fanatical Floor, produced by Roger Ramjet Corman and... What? The Fantastic Four? Oh, you mean the 2005 version, right? No, what do you mean? There was no 1994 version. No, there wasn't. Shut up! Stop! You fools! You've invoked the unspeakable film that... Ah! Poof. Oh, dear.
Why do I suddenly want a cookie puss?
Oh, dear. It seems that the mere mention of this Roger Corman classic, the last in our mini-series Be Adjacent to the Cor-Man, has dispelled the spirit that was in no way related to anyone who has ever worked at a real comic book company ever. But yes, this movie does exist despite the best efforts of a number of people, and we're going to use our super talking powers to discuss it. I'm your host, mildly miffed Max Levine, and over there, searching in vain for the no prize that he just dropped, is your host, Mike Lasciviously Loquacious Loose. Expelliarmus, Mike!
Make mine Max Mike movies!
Exactly.
I have to go march now. And
yes,
I'm married.
Merrily. But first I'm going to listen to my Spider-Man Greatest Hits album.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. But first, we have our...
Poll question.
Last week, we asked you, who is your favorite child actor and in what role? Regan McStravick responded, Natalie Portman in The Professional. Oh,
Ooh.
dang, yeah,
Although I was rooting for The Plant.
Yeah, The Plant was good, but yeah. Adam Mark starts us off with a quote like any good academic. Any star can be devoured by human adoration, sparkle by sparkle. That was from Ambassador Shirley Temple Black.
Ooh.
You cannot beat Shirley Temple. Well, yes, you can. Just ask the studio heads.
Ow.
Cute curls, endearing dimples, and a persona mixing innocence, curiosity, and earnestness. She's my pick for child star. She was a box office juggernaut in her day. Any story with a little girl in it, Shirley got it. With very protective and business-minded parents, she avoided the abuses that befell other young actresses, Judy Garland, etc.
Oops.
Temple was so good at the business, acting, but also product endorsement, toys, dolls, you name it. There were constant rumors among entertainers, many sincerely believing it, that she was actually an adult little person in secret. Wow.
She was a midget and smoked cigars.
That's right. That's right. It's me, Baby, whatever his name was, from Roger Rabbit. Baby Herman, that was it.
Yeah.
Alas, today much of her work appears dated. The ending of her career is a rare happy one. She aged out and said, been there, done that, and went on to live a well-adjusted and relatively private life, decades later becoming a U.S. ambassador under the Ford and H.W. Bush administration. Very true.
Ooh.
Two of her best films are Heidi and A Little Princess. Both are based on pre-existing novels and the ensemble casts are strong. With the strong foundation of script and ensemble, Temple blossoms. The girl can act. She did comedy, drama, slapstick, dancing, singing. Truly a seminal talent and the gold standard for all child actors to emulate. Cannot argue with that. She was amazing.
But could she rap?
Fortunately, we never found out. I know, Julie Andrews can, but we don't need to hear that ever again.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Dan Schaefer brings up, wow, seriously? Robbie Wrist. a.k.a. Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch, the first of many new kids injected into the late season of a fading sitcom. Maybe not the best child actor in terms of talent, but the only one I know of who has become a full-on TV trope.
Well, he did end 2 other series, more or less, one of them being the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and the third being Galactica 1980. Although, to be fair, on Galactica 1980, he had help.
Yeah, he had a lot of help.
Yeah.
Tony Kellner says, Daniel Radcliffe and or Jodie Foster. Tony, you know those are 2 different people, right?
Yeah, that's why she said and or. Don't be a fool.
Oh. And I might throw Millie Bobby Brown in there, too. Yeah. Roland Hardy says, Jodie, Taxi Driver. Oh, that's nice. Jodie from Family Affair. That's nice that he thinks so well of her.
That's Johnny Whittaker, and he wasn't in that film.
Sorry, yes. It was Jodie Foster. God!
But Sigmund, the sea monster, and Johnny and Scott are friends.
They are friends.
The finest friends you'd ever see on the land or on the sea.
Keith Wright says, Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Definitely Jodie Foster in pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Val Coons, dominatrix of all things Q Footsteppy, says, Margaret O'Brien in Meet Me in St. Louis is my instant answer for this question. She was only 5 at the time of filming. Wow. But she had such a variety of emotions. When she cries in one scene, I bawl with her. Also, Barrett Oliver, Noah Hathaway, and Tammy Stronach in Neverending Story. Noah was only 13 when the movie came out, believe it or not, which means he was even younger when it was filmed.
Yeah.
Barrett was 2 years younger, Tammy 1 year younger. I thought they all did great jobs. They did.
Yeah, Noah Hathaway almost died, see our entire episode on Neverending Story.
Yep. But of course, the real one who steals the show is Artax.
Until he dies.
Dave says, tough one. I can't remember the last show I saw with a child star and can't remember ever being a fan of a child star. Mostly, children in movies are a plot device and are not given difficult or deep roles, and often their performance seems to be more a reflection of what the director got out of them than their own independent brilliance. I think of Shirley Temple as more of a freak and victim of the adults around her than a great actress.
Oh dear.
Yikes. I think Professor Mark might have words with you. Macaulay Culkin more so. The kid in Love Actually is important to the story, but not a challenging role. I think that's Freddie Highmore, who showed up later in Game of Thrones. It changes, I guess, if you look at high school dramas. I don't consider those children, but I enjoy The Breakfast Club, but don't consider teens to be child actors.
There you go.
I agree with that. I like Doogie Howser's work as an adult, in other words, but don't know the actor's name. That's Neil Patrick Harris.
Or NPH.
I also love Ron Howard as a director, but can't name a good or bad performance from him as a child actor. Interesting.
He's fine as Opie.
I don't think Game of Thrones benefited from either of the 2 youngest Starks.
I disagree.
Oh, come on. Arya was awesome.
She was.
On the Japan side, I did like Kamikaze Girls, but the lead was 22 years old playing a 17-year-old, so it doesn't really count.
No.
I have seen some good performances by children in supporting roles on TV, but none such that I care to know the kids' names. Engine, for example, is a great TV series which takes place in an orphanage, and there are middle school and high school dramas from time to time that are fun. Oh, and now that I have finished pontificating, Tatum O'Neal, Paper Moon, comes to mind.
There you go.
Thought she did a great job when I saw the year it was released. Have not checked her out since. Okay. Well, didn't do a whole lot else after Mad News Bears.
In Breaking Training in Japan, on Gilligan's Island.
With the Harlem Globetrotters. Nick Hoffman has another vote for Bill Mumy. Lost in Space, Babylon 5, but his best performance was in Twilight Zone. It's a Good Life.
Yeah.
That sure is a good thing you mentioned that, Nick. It's
a very good thing.
Wait, not movies. For movies, I'd have to go with Freddie Bartholomew in Captain's Courageous with Spencer Tracy. To which Dave responds, Freddie Bartholomew came to mind for Anna Karenina.
No.
But I remember only...
No. You left out no.
Anna Karenina, Batman. Only the name and not the performance. That was the first grown-up movie I ever saw, so maybe 50 years ago.
Cool.
And of course, taking a break from painting landscapes and solving crimes, Degsy O'Brien says, I was going to go for the obvious, like Haley Joel Osment and Linda Blair. Oh, man, I forgot about Linda Blair.
Oh, yeah.
But really, they only had one good movie each. Oh, come on. Exorcist 2 was Okay, he's right. For sheer consistent star power and variety, however, I have to go for Jodie Foster, who had a string of strong, varied roles as a child. Taxi driver, Bugsy Malone, really? Okay, the little girl who lives down the lane, Candle Shoe, Freaky Friday, getting an Oscar nomination for Taxi Driver, her best performance. And it's amazing to think that the youngster I saw back then is still in the business and still getting well-deserved acclaim.
Ooh, cool.
Excellent points. And translated from the obscure language of the Canadians in the far north, we have Vince. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is going to be really kind of tricky because
he's from Boston.
Yeah, that's right. Boston, a small province in Canada. Not a big child actor fan. Ron Howard was good in the Twilight Zone episode Walking Distance. Was that what it was called? I thought it was called A Good Life.
No, that's Billy Mummy.
One.
No, I'm sorry, Billy Mummy.
Oh, right. Mummy. And he was a tour de force as Genius in Village of the Giants, you are both well aware of. Yes, we are.
Unfortunately.
We also both know that it also starred Tony Basil of Hey Mickey fame, and she was Bowie's choreographer. Another Twilight Zone child alumnus I really like is Billy Mumy. Not a Lost in Space fan, but I loved his adult work as well, including Fish Heads.
Barnes and Barnes.
Roly-poly fish heads. Good answers, folks. What about you, Mike? Who's your favorite kiddie actor?
Well, I have a couple of soft spots. Ron Howard, I think, was a decent child actor, and I'm going to skip over his adult acting because on retrospect, I don't like it as much, but he became a great director. Yeah. One of my favorites, though, Kurt Russell, started off the earliest role I know him from was Jungle Boy on Gilligan's Island. And
girl, boy, boy, boy.
Yeah, he's managed to avoid most of the pratfalls of being in Hollywood for your entire life, most of them. And has turned out some very solid and fun performances over the years. Billy Mumy I loved as in Lost in Space. But I'm going to actually go with kind of a weird one. I'm going to go with Rupert Grint. And the reason I'm going to choose old Ron Weasley is because I don't know that he was a great actor in the Harry Potter films. Mostly he just sort of mugged for the camera. But I got to give credit to somebody who, when they finally reached the age of being able to drive their first car purchased with all their Harry Potter money, is an ice cream truck.
Okay, to be fair, that's not really a performance you're admiring.
Well, and here's the thing. I also just in general like the kids from the Harry Potter films because unlike many of their American counterparts, they seemed to be able to be in the movies and grow up to be reasonable human beings.
Yeah.
And Daniel Radcliffe, of all of them, has continued to, acting seems to be his passion, whether it was when he got the part or not. He has just run with it. And some of them have done parts here and there, but he's like, this is what I want to do. And he picked some really weird and off-the-wall projects. But he didn't buy an ice cream truck, so I'm going to go with Rupert Grint for
Emma Watson is terrific also. She's gone on to do some really good work.
She can be, yeah. But how about you? Because this was my question.
I always liked Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
But for sort of more classic, I like Tatum O'Neal back in Paper Moon.
With her dad?
And I have a... With her daddy, Ryan.
Yeah, because she acted like she liked him. Oh, oops.
Yeah. Ooh. But I always had a soft spot for little Freddie Bartholomew from Captain's Courageous and my favorite performance of his, David Copperfield. So those are mine. But those are great, and we want more. But this is going to be a special poll question.
Oh, you couldn't think of one, could you?
Yes, I could. But in this case, this will kind of give away what our 300th episode is going to be about.
What? We can't do that. It's not the end of the show.
Too bad. What did you think of the recent 2-film adaptation of Dune?
Of what?
Guess what we're going to watch. And at the end of the show, we'll tell you how to answer it, but I'm going to tell you right now a new way, which I'll repeat at the end. We have the Max Mike Movies Hotline, trademark.
Ow,
that you can call. See? That you can call, leave us a voicemail, and we may, in fact, use it on the show.
Oh, no.
So do it in your best voice.
Oh, no, we will use it on the show.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So make sure your voice is nice and squeaky.
Like
and
mine.
That number you can call is 617-398-7266. Spiegel, Chicago 60609.
Don't mess it up.
I won't. I'll repeat this at the end, and of course it'll be on our website and in the question on Facebook. But now, Stuff.
The facts.
Budget. $1 million.
Such a nice, lovely round figure.
Isn't it? Box office. Yeah, about that. As many of you may know, this film was never released at all. Ever. Legally.
Oh.
We'll get to that.
This
movie was shot in, depending on who you believe, 21 or 25 days. So a marathon shoot for the Cor-Man.
Yeah.
Even though he did not direct it. It was directed by Oli Sassone, also called by some interviews Oli Sassoon. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce it.
Yes, Oli, you are Sven.
Yeah, if you have not heard of Oli Sassone, you're not alone. Mainly what he's known for is directing music videos. We have an interesting cast. We also have a couple of Nepo babies here.
Really? I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Reed Richards is played by Alex Hyde White, who is the son of the classic English actor Wilfred Hyde White. If you're saying, who's Wilfred Hyde White? You know who he is. He's been in everything.
He was in Battlestar Galactica.
Yes, he was. He was in The Million Eyes of Sumeru. He's in everything.
Yeah.
And Dr. Doom is played by Joseph Culp, son of Robert Culp from I Spy, Greatest American Hero, and was it 3 or 4 episodes of Columbo?
I think it's 4.
4, okay.
Amongst many other things.
One of the other only sort of names in this movie is Mercedes McNabb, who plays the little girl version of Sue Storm.
Sure.
Who thinks that Reed Richards is dreamy.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
She uses that exact word. We'll get to that. Mercedes McNabb is best known, especially to us nerds, as Harmony from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel.
Oh.
The biggest name in this film, which is not saying a great deal, and we'll get to him more when we discuss the cast, is George Gaines, and we'll talk about him when we get there. In an interview with Kevin Smith, Stan Lee said that unbeknownst to its cast and crew, this movie was never intended to be released. It was made only because the studio that owned the rights to make the Fantastic Four movie, which was called New Constantine Films,
sure,
a German company, would have lost those rights if production didn't start by a certain date, which was December 31st, 1993. So, of course, they started on December 22nd, 1993. Producers Bernard Eichinger and Roger Corman have both denied this. No one else does. Although a few other people have sort of said, "No, we were." Yeah, Corman said he was under contract to release it, and Eichinger said the film was never released because Marvel Studios founder Avi Arad bought it and ordered all copies destroyed for fear of the low-budget product cheapening the brand.
Well, he didn't do a very good job, did he?
No, Arad confirmed this in 2002. Adding that he had been unaware of an upcoming Fantastic Four film until a fan mentioned it to him after noticing Arad's Fantastic Four shirt on an airplane. Arad has never seen the film. Neither have most people. At first, like I say, Marvel denied that this film ever existed. When they were confronted with the footage in the film's trailer, they said it was a pilot for a TV show that was never commissioned. They reluctantly admitted to its existence years later after the film found its way onto the internet via a bootleg VHS copy. By the way, according to the documentary Doomed, the Fantastic Four movie, Alex Hyde White says that Stan Lee visited the set on a number of times and even brought donuts.
Oh, donuts.
The studio provided Corman quite a bit of money, most of which was spent on the Thing's costume. The film has very few special effects.
That's for sure.
It has no special effects. It has a few effects.
Oops.
No one exactly knows how the film got out there. The director, Ole, says that he had taken the movie to a film processing company to have 2 copies of it made, of the actual film, and he thinks that whoever was on the night shift saw it and said, "I'm making me a dupe." But nobody knows for sure. It got out there. in bootleg VHS form for years.
Yep, I had
literally
one.
like within a year. So did I. We'll get to that. Both the costumed characters of The Thing, Michael Bailey Smith, and Dr. Doom, Joseph Culp, have very muffled dialogue that is sometimes hard to hear. Sometimes? This is because the producers decided to avoid the expense of looping the characters' dialogue in post-production.
What's post? Keep flailing!
When the decision was made not to release the film to the public.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of people auditioned for this movie, including, by the way, Mark Ruffalo.
Okay.
Who would end up as a different Marvel character. And Patrick Warburton tried out for the part of Ben Grimm, which I think would have been amazing.
Who's that?
The Tick. He's a classic voice actor. You know him. He's Putty from Seinfeld. You know him in a minute. You know his voice.
Okay.
To save time and money, the first few seconds of the film are recycled from, yes, Battle Beyond the Stars. See our entire episode on Battle Beyond the Stars, and most of the music. Now, this film does have an original score, which two of the actors paid for themselves.
Okay.
According to Rebecca Staab, who plays Sue Storm, there were no rehearsals before filming, and barely any rehearsals during filming.
Really?
Yes. And the scene of The Thing wandering around New York City was, in true Corman fashion, say it with me, filmed without a permit. Yep. The character of the jeweler was originally supposed to be the Mole Man, which any Fantastic Four nerd can tell.
Or the Underminer.
The filmmaker, or the Underminer, yes, who would not exist for some 30 years.
Well,
but the filmmakers didn't have the rights to the character. Joseph Culp claims he based his portrayal of Dr. Doom on Benito Mussolini.
Okay. With a vaguely vampire-like accent?
Sort of, yeah. Benito Mussolini from Latveria.
Sure.
I don't know. Michael Bailey Smith, The Thing.
One of them. No, he was actually
Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
Spent $12,000 of his own money promoting the movie.
Oh.
Yes. This year, Joseph Culp launched a petition to officially release the film.
Why?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
According to Alex Hyde-White, there was no wrap party or cast screening of the film, which he took as a very bad sign. Almost all of Rebecca Staab's costumes in the movie were her clothes, except for the wedding dress, the Fantastic Four suit, the spacesuit, and the hazmat suit. Everything else, all her civilian clothes, that's just her wardrobe.
Huh.
And this, by the way, is the only movie that Roger Corman made that was not released. Think about that. Think about the movies he did release. Attack of the Crab People, Bucket of Blood, all of those. This one didn't get released.
So you're saying is that this is The Day the Clown Cried. Except that we're lucky enough to see it.
Yeah. Pretty much. There's other stuff, mostly just sort of hearsay from some of the actors. But you got anything?
No.
Okay. No. Well then, deep breath and we'll try to do the plot. All true believers know the story of the Fantastic Four, the first family of Marvel. It starts out with Reed Richards and his good friend Victor, who has no last name apparently, building a thingy that's going to do something to Colossus. No, not the metal-skinned mutant, but a local comet-type thingy that passes by every 10 years. What are they trying to do with their machine? No time for that now or ever. Zap, boom, everything goes kablooey. Reed's buddy Ben Grimm shows up and tries to save Victor, but no luck. Victor is dead, burned to death by science. But is he dead? No, of course not. If he was dead, we wouldn't have no picture. Oh, yes. Also, Sue and Johnny Storm show up as very young kids, and Sue has a rather disturbing crush on the much older Reed.
Much.
Yeah. Some mysterious, never-explained people heal Victor, and then we jump 10 years into the future, when Colossus is coming by again. This is not the Forbin Project, by the way. Reed is going to take his science machine into space for no clear reason, and is taking Ben to pilot the ship, and Johnny and Sue to be in the movie.
And Johnny
There's no real
Scott
explanation why they came along, except we need a love interest between Sue, who should be in her early 20s but at this point, and Reed, who is old enough to be going unconvincingly gray about the temples. But something goes wrong. There's a bright light, an angelic choir, and then the ship crashes. I'm not sure, but I think maybe Space Jesus did it. All four miraculously survive, but now they are all imbued with incredibly bad special effects. I mean, powers! Johnny can generate flame and make his hand ignite, and only his hand for 99% of the movie. Sue can turn invisible, mostly. Reed can stretch his body, although we only ever see him stretch one arm and one leg. And Ben has been transformed into the ever-loving blue-eyed thing, idol of millions, pride of Yancey Street, analog of Jack Kirby, oops, in probably the most expensive item in the film, a somewhat bulky orange bodysuit with a weirdly animatronic face, worn by another actor.
Who's shorter.
Who is shorter and not as big.
No.
And thus is born the Fantastic Four. Johnny and Sue's mother came up with the name. No, really. But a mysterious man in metal armor and a green cloak shows up and wants their special effects all for himself. Who is he? Who could he possibly be? Why, he's Dr. Doom, who in reality is the not at all dead Victor. Gasp! Elsewhere, a mysterious and confusing criminal called the Jeweler kidnaps a beautiful blind sculptor named Alicia, who has fallen in love with Ben after literally bumping into him and interacting for under 2 minutes because movie! Somehow these two storylines tie together if you squint real hard. Ben gets angsty, Doom threatens New York with a device called a laser and tries to steal the FF's powers, which Reed thwarts by kicking the power-stealing machine. Goons are beaten up, Doom is vanquished, Alicia is rescued, Reed and Sue get married. All this in the last 15 minutes or so of the movie. And they all live happily ever after, Excelsior or something. The film.
Well, by Excelsior, I assume what you mean is that packing material that we all know
I
so
mean,
well.
Excedrin, get me some.
Wow. So something you alluded to earlier is that we apparently both had bootleg VHS copies of this movie.
We did. I bought mine at a science fiction convention.
Same here.
For, I think, $10.
And honestly, I don't think it was that long after it came out.
No, it was within a year.
Yeah. So technically, we saw this in theaters.
Sort of, as much as anyone. No one was ever going to. These poor actors in the documentary, which I don't know if I recommend it. It's somewhat interesting. Mostly, it's sad. They loved this movie. They were so happy to be in it. They thought it was going to be big. They actually went to Comic-Con. The whole cast, the Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom, went to Comic-Con 93, San Diego Comic-Con, the real one, and had a table and were signing things.
Oh, dear.
And talking to fans. And they had flyers, and there was a movie poster. There was a trailer made. And then literally, I think 2 months before it was going to be released, they just were told, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Wow. That's stinky. But that's showbiz.
Yeah, it's showbiz.
Yeah. My first note, which we're going to lead into what we usually talk about, is like, seems to be a lot of sons of famous actors here. Always a good sign. Yeah. But you want to start off with...
Let's do the cast.
Yeah, let's do the cast.
Alex Hyde-White.
Sure.
Best known, I think, for The Boy Who Could Fly.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you don't know it.
I mean, all I can think of is two things. His father, Wilfred Hyde-White, a very famous...
Yep.
If you needed an old British guy, there you go. There he is.
Yeah. He played an old British guy ever since I think he was 20.
One of the earliest villains in Scooby-Doo was Professor Hyde-White.
No relation.
Might have been the Black Knight, I can't remember, but I just remember them taking off the mask or the helmet and Professor Hyde-White. So, yeah. He's,
there.
Yeah.
He exists.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if they didn't have any rehearsal at all, that explains a lot.
It really does. I'm surprised they got the lines down as much as they did.
Yeah, he's there.
Jay Underwood, Johnny Storm.
I gave him the overacting award.
Yeah, he at least put some energy into it. He's
too much.
He's one of those, God love him, he's trying.
I guess. He's like, I'm a real hothead. Get it? I'm a hothead. That's why I have these hot powers. We'll get to that.
Oh, God. How about that sequence? Yeah, we'll talk about that, where Reed explains why they got the powers they did.
Let's go on. Rebecca Stab. Hey, it's a Corman-related film. It's a woman. So what does that mean?
Nothing. Means basically she is what all women in Corman movies are supposed to do, disappear at random times.
Literally in this case.
Yes, apparently when she can turn back, she has no trouble becoming visible except for her legs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And she's there. She doesn't have much of
present.
anything to do. I mean,
I have no idea if she's any good. We don't know. No. There's no way to tell.
At least she doesn't get kidnapped. I suppose that's something.
No.
Michael Bailey Smith. I'm going to go with there.
He's huge.
Yeah. He gets one scene, a very inexplicable scene we'll get to later, where we see him shirtless, and he's very, very large. So I will give him that he's very, very large. There.
Yes. He is, I would say, the largest person in the film. And there is Ian Trigger as the jeweler, not Mole Man.
No, but
who lives underground and collects ugly people as his followers, like the Mole Man, like jewelers do.
Yeah, like jewelers do.
Yeah, apparently he likes jewels. That's why he's the jewel. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
I like gold.
Of course. Isn't that weird?
He's doing his best Billy Barty. There's that. He's
except he's about 1.5 feet too tall.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Joseph Culp is he's got a mask.
This is hard to tell because he is trying to act through a plastic mask. Oh, I'm sorry, iron mask.
Yeah, sure.
So he's trying. I mean, he at least tries to put a little melodrama and a little scenery chewing in it. But they can't decide. They're trying to make Doom menacing, and he's trying to make him funny.
I guess. Well, we're going to get to the direction later, but the problem I have with Doom is that none of his plots and none of his motivation make any sense of any kind. So in this version, he and Reed are best buddies in college somewhere, I guess, and they're working on this project by themselves that will shoot science into this comet. And apparently, I guess the idea is it's supposed to be a new source of energy. Apparently, though, it's only a source of energy once every 10 years, so whatever. And Reed is basically saying, hey, I've made some recalculations, and you really should check them out, and we should do a simulated test. And Victor is like, no, we must forge ahead. And Reed's like, well, okay, old buddy, punch. And then later, when Doom doesn't die, he's really, really pissed at Reed for screwing him over and selling him out, which he didn't do.
You ignored what he said, dude.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm going to shoot New York. Okay, why are you doing that? Because laser.
For my revenge.
Revenge about what? We don't even know they were in New York to start with. I guess they were, but whatever. Although it's probably Los Angeles.
And he even says, I will use you, Richards, as the tool of my vengeance. And I'm thinking, the tool of my vengeance against you.
Yeah.
That's not really how a tool works.
Well, in this case, it is. He's that kind of tool. Yeah. So I can't tell. And again, if there was so little preparation given to the actors, I can't really gauge him on anything. But he wears the suit well.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I thought the mask was pretty good.
Mask is not bad.
It looks just like the comic books. It probably sounds exactly the way he would sound. Like one of my notes is, "Are you talking to me? I can't understand what you're saying."
Hoggy red doggy.
You can't destroy basketball.
Hardware wars.
Yeah, so he's fine. George Gaines is.
I don't know why he's in this. George Gaines is a comedian. He's probably best known, at least to more modern audiences, as Commandant Lassard in all of the Police Academy movies. And the horny doctor from Tootsie.
I know why. He's doing a reverse Leslie Nielsen. That's what he's doing.
Oh, okay.
He's there.
I don't know why he's there. He's in one scene. He's got 3 lines, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
He's fine.
For that. Yeah. Kat Green as Alicia Masters.
She's very pretty.
I guess.
Yeah. Character doesn't make any sense.
No, her whole entire plot, but we'll get back to that. Carl, what's his name?
Carfalio. Yeah, who is
in the suit.
Thing once he turns into the Thing. I don't know why he's there, because he's smaller than Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
Apparently the actor, Michael Bailey Smith, was actually really annoyed at this.
I don't blame him. It makes literally no sense. And then some people.
Yeah.
Who are
that's pretty
quite
much
as honestly as good as anybody else in the main roles. So,
and then these two, I just do want to mention those two weird Russian guys, Trigorin and I don't remember the other one's name.
Krogstad.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Krogstad.
Yeah.
Who are, I don't know if they're trying to be funny or if they're supposed to be comic. All I could think of, and this is a little obscure, is the movie Rescue from Gilligan's Island when Gilligan is being stalked by two Russian agents. It's like, oh God, they couldn't get Gilligan, so they're going after these guys.
Oh, I actually thought that one of them, the one with the beard, Dr. Spy, well, I'll get to him in a second, sounded very much like one of the painting thieves from Thomas Crown Affair, but I didn't look him up to see if it was him, and I don't really care. So there's other people in this film, and I want to say, I'm going to put, for the first time ever, I'm going to put everybody in this film on an equal footing. All of them, and I think you'll agree with me, all of them were there.
Yes, I will agree. Every one of them was present.
Yeah. So that's the cast.
Yeah, that's the cast.
So we open the film with stock footage, which is a true sign of the Cor-Man.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stock footage in this. The taking off of the rocket is stock footage.
Yeah.
When Doom is giving his demonstration of what his death ray will do, all I could think is, they're showing clips from The Amazing Colossal Man when the bomb goes off.
Well, yeah, because that's actually stock footage of an actual bomb going
I know.
off. My thought
was, betting that's where they got it.
He's demonstrating the power of his weapon, which apparently is to be able to project stock footage anywhere he wants it to.
Yeah, it's an amazing power.
I guess, it would work for the Cor-Man. So the effects, there's a credit for the effects. They were done by two companies, one called Mr. Film and the other called Billups, which I guess is how you make your bill bigger.
Yep, or a lot of bell-ups.
Maybe they should have just left the effects to Mr. Snack. That is a very, very, very deeper. I'm not even sure you know that one, Max.
Mr. Snack? I don't think so.
Mr. Snack was this weird food industry place near our high school that you could walk to, and they were mostly meant to like bring food to schools and stuff, but you could also go there and buy candy bars and stuff. So Mr. Snack. Okay. And quite honestly, I think they would have done nearly as well. Let's talk about these special effects.
Okay.
Remember Filene's Basement?
Yeah.
It's like that, with much more pulling and screaming.
Hey, excuse me. Filene's Basement, you could actually had some quality products in it. That is a real insult to Filene's Basement.
The thing that kills me
This is bargain basement. This is flea market.
Yeah, the thing that kills me about the special effects is they start not good. I mean, they're decidedly
right
bad,
away.
And they just proceed to get worse.
I'm really at a loss to say what's the worst. I mean, I think Reed's stretching is probably the worst.
Oh, no, I think Johnny Storm turning into the Human Torch, because it's a totally different style of effect. It feels very last minute, very tacked on, and makes literally no sense. Because what happens, Dr. Doom's laser cannon thing actually goes off. Lord. They can't stop it. Nobody thinks to go, hey, Ben, you want to punch the laser cannon? It's right there.
So Johnny goes super flame.
Oh, wait. No. And he doesn't do that.
Nope.
Johnny flies at light speed times pi, bursts through the wall and bashes their heads together. No, he literally punches out a laser beam.
Yeah, he outflies the laser beam, which is going at the speed of light, at the slowest speed of light imaginable.
About 50.
Gets in front of it and flame. First off, it hits him and just hurts. Ooh. And then he burns it out of the sky. Ouch.
So not only do we get a very, or actually to be fair, when he's trying to burst through the wall with his flame powers and it's literally drawn with colored pencils, it's either that or when he actually flies is the worst effect in the film. It's worse than the stretching.
The thing that also throws me, when he first figures out how to make his hand ignite, you hear laughter. Who's laughing?
The audience.
Yeah, probably.
We just didn't realize they'd recorded us. That's I gotta say about one thing though that I actually think they put effort into it, and that's the Thing suit. It is on the wrong person.
That's where all the budget went. But yeah, it's for the time and for the budget, it's not that bad, although the face is creepy.
Well,
it is pretty good at showing expression.
They're doing the articulated mouth and eyebrow thing fairly well. It looks like early versions of the Thing.
It does look like the old Jack Kirby versions. Yeah, that's true.
And kudos to them for at least trying to make the mouth work. And that's a very tough thing to do. And I don't honestly think they did a particularly great job in the other three Fantastic Four films.
Yes.
So I will give them a little notch of nice try, guys, because I think they really did. Yeah, he's just like, it's the Thing's shorter, younger brother, I guess, because he's not in any way physically imposing.
But everything in this film is so surface. It all happens so quickly. There's no explanation. There's no exploration. Like I said, we don't know what Reed and Victor are actually trying to do except get power. Well, they're going out for a bucket full of power. I don't know.
I think they do say something about it being a new power source, but quite honestly, why would you base a power source on something that only shows up every 10 years and not for very long at that? Because we sort of see some glowing in the sky and a few people pointing and going, ooh, daytime fireworks, ooh, and the band is cooking. But that's it. Like, it literally seems to be unlike most comics that hang around in the sky for a few days or a week or whatever. This one's gone in like 10 minutes. So I don't get it. And the original Fantastic Four was all about space flight. They wanted to be, pardon the term I'm about to use, but this is what the original thing was about. They wanted to be the first in space to use a special kind of rocket to, quote, beat the commies, end quote.
That's right.
Because the space race was a huge thing in the 60s. And once Sputnik went up in 55, I think.
People were terrified.
Yeah.
They thought the Russians were going to start dropping bombs on us from orbital platforms.
If they'd actually seen the size of Sputnik, they might not have been quite so terrified.
Yeah, and if they also saw the actual state of the Russian military and space program, they would be more worried about them trying to throw, small rocks at us.
Yeah. But they at least were going into space to do something. That being said, the explanation for Sue and Johnny in the original comic doesn't bear much more scrutiny than this film. Because it's literally well, my girlfriend's going with me. Well, where she goes, I go. Okay, let's all go into space together.
Later it's retconned that she's like Sue is a doctor and so she's there for medical stuff. But it's true in the comic she was there for company.
Yeah, and she does call herself the Invisible Girl, which
for quite a while.
Yeah, it'd be fine if she was 12. But
and
actually, quite honestly, all of the names of the original Fantastic Four are dumb. I'll call myself Mr. Fantastic for
one of the greatest minds in the Marvel Universe, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm going to call myself what Sue called me, the Thing.
The Thing.
Okay, that's
the
fine.
Human Torch isn't bad.
I guess, except...
Even if it's unoriginal.
Yeah.
Because there was a Human Torch in the World War II comics.
Well, and here's the thing. Marvel actually had bought that company, so it worked fine.
Oh,
so all that stuff... that's why they own Captain America, because Captain America...
Was that Charleston?
No. That was Timely. Way back.
Timely, that was it.
Which became Atlas, which became Marvel.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, that I understand. Although even in the original Fantastic Four, they don't ever talk about how there used to be a Human Torch. Till much, much later, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're taking, let's face it, a very goofy concept at its core, and we're trying... And I'm not sure what we're trying to do, because on one hand, I think things are supposed to be serious when we're doing Reed and Victor, but anytime the jeweler shows up, it's like, did you get a kind of Tim Burton Batman 89 feel?
I did. It reminded me a lot of the Penguin and his evil circus people in the, what is it, Batman Returns? Batman Returns. Yeah, because I have one of the characters who I just have listed as henchman keeps standing over Alicia and doing crazy hands over her.
Yeah.
And she can't see you doing that, right? She's supposed to be blind.
And we've got two major relationships in this movie, none of which bear close scrutiny either, because on the one hand, we have, I'm guessing, 12-year-old Sue Storm who's like, oh, Reed Richards is so dreamy.
He gives me weird feelings.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, when she's in her early 20s and he's graying at the temples.
Which I mean, was it spray paint? Like, literally, what did they do?
That was like the worst hair dye. I mean, come on. How hard is that to do? It looks like he walked through a too narrow doorway that had just been painted white and brushed the sides of his head.
The only reason I can think that they did it is because Reed Richards as a character has no other identifying, like, anything.
Yeah.
He's just an average guy. And then they have that to make him look smart. That's the only reason he's got this spraying at the temples, which they would do in other Fantastic Four movies for reasons I don't know. So we've got that relationship because they instantly fall in love. I mean, I guess Sue's been in love with him for a long time because they've been living at this boarding house since college, and apparently they still live there or whatever. I don't know. And then in the worst meet cute I have ever seen, Ben Grimm accidentally knocks into blind sculptor because that hasn't been done to death. Alicia Masters knocks over her statue or whatever it is. We never actually get to see what it is.
No, it breaks.
Which then she's, oh, my statue, all my work. And Ben's like, he picks her up, literally picks her up for no reason. And it's like, you're safe with me. Something nobody would say.
No.
And then they go on their way and she's like, oh, Ben Grimm.
Yeah, rather than scream for help and have him arrested, she falls in love with him.
Well, and then she...
Literally, because next time she sees him, she said, Ben, I love you.
Yeah, and she sculpts him from memory.
Yes.
Which, okay, sure, whatever. Which, to be fair, the whole Alicia Masters, of course, because for those who don't know, Alicia Masters is the daughter of the puppet master. And blah, 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 blah. He's an evil villain that makes puppets of people and controls them. Because, again...
out of radioactive clay, because radioactive means magic.
Yeah. And so this is, again, the Fantastic Four is a very goofy concept that, as far as superheroes go, takes a bigger pill to swallow to believe, I think. But regardless, her whole thing is that she can see below the surface, which they don't even touch on in this film. And in fact, there's this weird, unnecessary, pointless, stupid scene where she has told Ben that she loves him. He runs away and turns back to Ben Grimm for 10 seconds.
Yeah, because apparently he turns back to Ben Grimm when he's calm or in love, and when he gets angry, he turns into the Thing. Why does this sound so familiar? It's almost as if they're taking something from another Marvel character.
No. But I gotta say, ain't he on Glamour Race? Yeah. So, the two relationships feel very much like we need to have this, so we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, whatever.
And the whole obsession the jeweler has with Alicia makes no sense.
He literally bumps into her. She's pretty. She make good queen. Grab queen. Yes. You live in Manhattan. There are literally millions of attractive people there. Why her? Also, he goes and he's making a fake diamond to swap out because he wants the diamond for a sacrifice, which he never makes. But he wants because apparently he's the jeweler. He wants diamonds. And when they first open the diamond, unfortunately, Johnny says something that he shouldn't say, which is it real? The answer is no.
No, it really does not look anything like anything approaching real.
It literally looks like somebody has chewed on a bunch of diamonds and thrown them up, and now it's something you can buy at Spencer's Gifts. That's what it looks like.
It looks like a bad fake aggregate diamond, which are a bunch of diamonds stuck together, basically. And yeah, it's not a diamond. It's a whole crap load of diamonds.
And then it's being used for cooling purposes. One of the well-known properties of diamonds.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so whatever.
And you know what's really sad to me? There's actually a point where Doom uses a line, and I actually found myself thinking Arnold Schwarzenegger did it better. As he says at one point, keep your cool.
Yeah.
And I remember, really? Arnold did a line better than you.
Well,
you should be so sad right now.
Wild. And there's just other plot things. It's like when the Fantastic Four breaks back into Doom's lair, which is who knows where the hell it is. They just happen to all come to a complete stop underneath the force field projector.
Yes, underneath the kidnap tubes.
TM.
Which when they were in them, all I could think of was this island Earth. And, no, they're in the Metaluna transport tubes.
And here comes the Metaluna mutant. Boo, hiss. Yeah. Well, and there's also scenes that I'm not actually sure they finished. So when they're in the space shuttle and they're having their accident in their, quite honestly, worst spacesuits ever, it looks very much like they just didn't finish the scene, because they'll often have, like, have you ever seen original footage of, like, the shots of the cockpit from the Millennium Falcon? And it's obvious there's a couple of stagehands moving it and stuff, and people are throwing space rubble at the windscreen and stuff. But we know that later they're going to add sound effects and flashes and stuff. It feels like they just didn't do that.
They didn't do a lot of post-production on this movie. They did some, but not much.
They did, however, do a lot of flailing. What did you think about the pacing of the film?
I will say it moves. It moves along.
Yeah, so it's probably
too much.
Really?
I mean, it's like, because we don't have time to absorb anything. They don't explore anything.
I suppose that's fair.
Look, as you say, the Fantastic Four is a goofy idea, but the reason the comic book worked is it wasn't as much about the superpowers as it was about a family dealing with them. You can see why the Incredibles used that as a template. Because let's face it, the family in the Incredibles is the Fantastic Four with one power change.
But it's so much better.
It is. It's a lot better. But that was what made... I read a lot of Fantastic Four, and I always liked the relationship stuff. And that they were showing being a family isn't easy. And dealing with stuff isn't easy. And the fun things like the war of pranks, a rivalry between Johnny and Ben, and the awkwardness that Reed has with Sue, and the guilt that Reed has over Ben's transformation, and the misery and depression that Ben keeps sinking into because he's a monster now.
Yeah, they played that a little
This is even undercut by the fact that in this, if he calms down, he turns back.
But literally for no reason. Like, I cannot figure out why they did that, because they don't even comment on it. And he doesn't comment on it. He just gets mad and turns back.
No one comments a lot about the powers. You notice in the middle, Sue is invisible for 90% of the movie. And then in the last fight scene, she suddenly realizes, I can make force fields.
Yeah.
And there's no reaction. She doesn't like, this is cool, or wow. It's just,
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And of course, the audience has to wonder, do all of your parts stretch? All of them?
Yeah. We that was covered in Mallrats.
I'm sure. There was one particular story about the rivalry between Johnny and Ben that I really liked. And what Johnny has done is he has taken some drinking straws, he has painted them orange, and he has, while Ben is sleeping, glued them to his face to make it look like finally Ben is growing stubble. And Ben wakes up in a panic because he looks in the mirror and he's like, I'm changing again? And then he goes up to brush it and it all comes off. And he just goes, Johnny, you're a bum. And Johnny streaks past laughing, and then they have their little thing. I can see that. But of course, let's face it, it's not just about the relationships. It's also about Doom taking over the world. But also, Doom was a much more interesting character because in his own country, Latveria, he's beloved. Because he takes care of the people.
He protects them. I mean, yes, it's a complete fascist dictatorship, but there's no crime. There's no poverty.
Yeah.
No one's homeless. Latveria actually has an incredibly high standard of living as long as you never, ever, ever question Lord Doom.
Or leave.
And this, also, Doom, Dr. Doom, come on. He is one of the premier Marvel villains. He's up there with Magneto and Galactus and, God, a Kingpin. He is a multi-layered, he's legendary. And in this, Reed beats him by punching him twice.
3 times.
The third time he knocks him off, but he's beaten him after the second punch.
Yeah.
And Doom did used to carry a pistol on his belt, but it was some weird zappy gun. Here it's a gun. It shoots bullets.
Well, and speaking of that, at one point he's got the newly made Fantastic Four in his, I don't know, villain basement. And he's like, you'll stay here for a while and you'll perhaps learn a lesson. And he leaves. And his guards start shooting them. Why are they shooting them? What kind of lesson can you learn when you're dead?
I referred to as the Doomettes because they're all wearing... Really?
Yeah.
Dr. The Doomettes. And that's the major fight. Those are the major fights. Is they're not actually fighting Dr. Doom. They're fighting his flunkies. And they're beating the crap out of them in an incredibly unconvincing action sequences.
And they're all dressed like him. Why we call
Yeah, they're on green capes.
It is literally
half-assed armor.
A section of the Donnie and Marie show. Like, they all, here come the Donnie and Mariettes or whatever, and they're all dressed
or, something out of Power Rangers. It's the putties, ha-ha.
Sure, the asparagus.
Biff, pow, zap.
Yeah, but, look at the clock on the wall. It's about that time.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are dying to know what our actual thoughts of this film are. I'll have to say.
The finish.
So, Max.
Yeah.
You saw this in, let's say, 95.
Yeah, around then.
What'd you think then? Because at 95, there were no big superhero films at that point, and we were all hoping for one.
My thought was, good thing they didn't actually release it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. I've heard some people say, I don't know, there's kind of an innocence about it. They were really trying. We had already had Superman, the Christopher Reeves Superman and Superman 2, and that's all. And then we aren't going to talk about the other two. And we'd had the Tim Burton Batman more than 10 years before. You could do, DC had figured out, or is at least beginning to figure out how to do superhero movies.
To be fair, it was only 5 years before.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. Corman, come on. Corman did Carnosaur within 6 months of Jurassic Park.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. He could have churned one out. By the way, do you know who Corman wanted to partner with first to do this movie?
Nope.
Troma Studios.
Oh.
The guys who do the Toxic Avenger and Class of Nukem High and Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. They looked at it and said, nope, we can't make this fun.
So wait, it could have been worse is what you're saying.
It could, in theory, have been worse, but it might have been funnier.
Yeah, it wasn't really funny. So you're going to say now, that was back then.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think now?
Now, I still think it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's painful. And you want to know the worst part? It's not that much worse than the other ones. Sorry, the ones they did with, you know what? Yeah, Jessica Alba's a decent actress, and she's incredibly beautiful. Let's dye her hair blonde, which makes it look ridiculous, and make her Sue Storm.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I mean, at least in Fan 4-Stick, they just said, okay, we're going to make the Human Torch black. All right, we're not going to try to explain it. I think he's adopted, or Sue is adopted.
Whatever.
It's like, we're not going to play these stupid-ass games.
Yeah.
They're just dull, those other ones. They're just not interesting. I liked Michael Chiklis as the Thing, I will say that. But this is just a waste of time. I suppose you can look at it as, it's an interesting foray into the superhero movies. No, it's not. It's not. It's bad. It shouldn't be released. I'm glad it wasn't released. What about you? What did you think when you first saw it?
I'm going to go with terrible.
Yeah.
But sometimes time can change your mind and ease wounds, and other times it can rip them back open anew.
Yes, and rub salt into them.
I don't think it's as bad as I remember. I will say that.
Okay.
I think it's the major problems with this film. The number one major problem is the writing. The writing is absolutely awful. They are trying to, they are using some weird, small trivia from the original comic. So there is a connection there.
Yeah.
The biggest problems are that there's more than one plot going on. Neither of them makes a lot of sense. And they have nothing to do with each other, although they're shoved next to each other like the last two seats on a bus you don't want to take.
Yeah.
The romances make no sense. The jeweler makes no sense. The Dooms, it's fine that he got taken back by his people and brought back to life because they need him to do the he has to I have no idea. I literally don't know.
And the little sequel beg for him at the end where he's hanging off the edge of the castle above the huge Beauty and the Beast gorge.
Yeah.
And Reed is trying to help him, and his glove comes off, and he falls, presumably to his death. And then when Reed, who just leaves the glove there, leaves, the glove starts moving. So apparently he was working with Thing from the Addams Family.
I'm going to go with who cares.
Makes no sense, and you don't care.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, of the films we've watched, would you say this was the worst Corman related film that we watched?
Corman adjacent or Corman-esque film?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think every other one we've seen is better than this.
Sad.
This includes Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Which is at least so bad, parts of it are funny.
I just will never forget from the trivia where you were like, yeah, the guy doing the voice off camera just for the actors to have something to react to. They just left that in.
Yup.
To hell with it. It's fine. So this brings us to the end of that, but what we're not at the end of is our poll question, and it's different this time, Max. Tell us how it's different.
It's different. Because this is directly related to the movies we're going to watch and discuss for our 300th episode next week.
300.
Yeah, 300 episodes.
What is wrong with us?
I don't know. 6 years we've been doing this.
Cripes.
We really love pain. But we are going to be discussing the recent 2-film adaptation of Dune.
But poll question.
And the poll question thereof is, what do you think of the recent 2-film adaptation of Dune? What did you think of the new Paul Atreides and the new Phaedra and all that stuff? And the sandy worms and Aquaman on a beach. I'm sorry, Jason Momoa and whatever. And you can answer this in our usual ways, plus a new one. The usual ways, of course, is go to our website, maxmikemovies.com. Leave a comment. You can email us at maxmikemovies.com. You can go on the booking, the facing, and leave a comment there. And for the first time anywhere, you can call the Max Mike Movies hotline at 617-398-7266. We'll also put this number on the website and in the Facebook post.
Say it one more time, would you?
617-398-7266. Leave a voicemail and we will use it on our show.
And if you didn't see Dune, you could also answer the question this way. Why didn't you see Dune?
Yeah. Did you actively not want to?
Yeah.
Why or why not? Be specific. Use both sides of the paper.
Bring a number 2 pencil. Fully fill in the little lozenge.
And we hope to hear from you for next week.
Yeah, episode 300. So we're watching, and it's both parts. Parts 1 and 2, Dune.
Both parts.
Dune.
Yeah, so we're not making you sit through a really long show. We're sitting through some really long movies.
Yeah, no 3 and 4 hour episodes this time around. I think we've done that. But we will do Dune.
We will.
The Desert Planet.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.